Hi everyone, this is Long Vo. Today I'm analyzing one of my games in the Burlington Chess Club, played on October the 2nd, 2012. I'm currently playing white, rated 1590. My opponent playing black is Eugene Hua, rated 1152. So I start with e4, and he plays e5. And I play f4, the King's Gambit. I just wanted to try something new, and he goes d5. So I'm not very familiar with this line, but I know that it's best to take with e. So I went to e takes d, and he went e takes f. Now, I think normally he's one of the better moves is perhaps to advance the pawn here. I'm not sure why, but anyways, he took, and I went knight to f3 to defend the queen check over here. If I didn't go the knight there, perhaps if I went the other knight here, that could be pretty devastating. Check. So either I move my king or, well, that's probably the only choice, because if I block, he would take, and then I cannot take back because the rook is hanging. So that would be pretty bad. So then I would have to move my king, and then he would I don't know. Yeah, and that would be pretty much in big trouble. Yeah, something like this, and he probably retreat here with check, and it just gets very messy. Yeah, perhaps move here. Anyways, this gets pretty crazy. So that's the reason why I went knight to f3 to defend that check. And my opponent plays knight to f6, attacking the d pawn. And I defend with knight to c3, and he goes bishop to d6, defending his f pawn. So now I'm not really sure what to do, so I go knight to b5 with the idea of attacking his bishop and making him lose a tempo, because if he moves the bishop again, let's say to here, he just wasted a tempo going here and then back. Then I would simply continue with development, something like that. Okay, so that was my idea, and he castles. So I was kind of surprised with that move. I suppose he understood that in the opening he doesn't want to lose tempo, so it was a chance for me to get the bishop pair. So I went knight takes d6, and he went queen takes d6. And now, because he castled, I was afraid that he would deliver check here, and then I would be kind of in trouble. So I went bishop to e2, and he went bishop to f5. Now let's go back a bit. Perhaps here I should have gone d4 instead, attacking his pawn here and sort of opening the way for the bishop in here. And if he does deliver check, I would block, and that would kind of be the same thing. And then my next move would probably be castling. So I went bishop to e2, and he went bishop to f5. So I've been caught this way in the past with this bishop here, and I think this is a defensive move to prevent me from castling, and I didn't really understand that move because there was no pressure, right? So but right after my next move, which I castled, then I understood his move. He went queen to c5 check, and a double attack against my c pawn. So that's when I understood that That was a very strong move. I was expecting him to perhaps take the pawn here with either the knight or the queen. Um, but he's better than that, so I went king to h1, and he went bishop takes c2, attacking my queen, and I retreated the queen to e1, no choice. Now he goes rook to e8. This is a very uncomfortable pin on the queen, and I figured his next move might be something like bishop to d2, pinning the light squared bishop there. So I didn't like that. Now I think the best move here could have been d4, attacking his queen. Then perhaps if he takes here, then I could escape the queen somewhere. Perhaps simply taking at this point, right? And then I would have been fine, because even if he attacks here, there's many ways to block, either with the knight, and if he wants to exchange, that's fine, or I could defend with the rook, opening up for later on to double the rooks here. And I thought I was probably doing fine if I played d4, attacking his queen, but I kind of panicked here, and I just felt that I should get out of that pin, so I went queen to f2, attacking his queen, getting out of the pin, and queen takes f2, rook takes f2. Now the problem with my position here is that even though the rook is defending the bishop, it has nowhere to go, right? And all he needs to do is force my rook away, and he would win the bishop. So he found a good move with knight to g4, attacking my rook. And if I move the rook to f1 here, no choice, he would simply take, and the rook being on the seventh rank here, the second rank here, would be big trouble for me, because if later on he develops the rook here, or even if he finds a way to double the rooks on the second rank here, I would be in big trouble. So I didn't let him do that, so I simply went king to g1, losing the exchange, being down the exchange. So he went knight takes f2, king takes f2. So now this way at least the position is still decent, even though I'm down the exchange. I don't know if that's the best move, but that's the way I felt at the time. And he goes knight to d7, connecting his rook, finishing development, and I go d4. A little bit too late. I should have gone that move way earlier. Now I'm attacking his f pawn here, and he goes knight to f6, attacking my d pawn, and I go bishop takes f4, and knight takes d5, gaining a tempo on my bishop. So now I was eyeing this pawn here, and my next move would probably be to attack the knight, to force it away and then take the pawn. So I think he saw that. So I retreated to g3, maintaining pressure on the c pawn, and now he goes c6, defending his knight, getting out of the attack. So he's a very good player, and at this point I have this isolated pawn here. He has no weaknesses. He's fully completed development, and I'm down the exchange and a pawn, so I'm not doing too well here. So I go. So my idea here was to somehow go here and here, and then exchange his strong knight here for my my not so strong knight. Um, so I go knight to e2, gaining a tempo on his bishop, and he retreats bishop to g6. Um, I thought that perhaps if he had gone um, bishop to f5 here, it would have been a more active move. Um, and of course, he didn't want to block off the E file there, so he went to g6, and now knight to d3 with the idea of doubling the attack here and forcing an exchange of knights. And I felt his knight was really annoying here in this outpost, controlling a lot of squares here. But my knight being here does sort of neutralize his knight. He can't go here because of my pawn, so I thought that was an okay move. Now he goes rook to d8, x-raying this pawn here, and I think when you're playing with an isolated queen pawn here, I think the best thing to do is to use the open files here. So perhaps going rook on e1 or even f1 here would have been a better move than the one I played. I played rook to d1. That's when I realized that this pawn here was really hanging, because I didn't think he would move his knight, and then once I do my double attack here and he takes, then my rook would be defending the pawn, right? So my mistake was that I didn't even see this possible move. So he went knight to e3, attacking my rook and the pawn at the same time. So then that's when I knew I made a mistake. And I simply went rook to c1. Perhaps this could have been a good move as well. Anyways, I felt that the c file here, I had a chance to somehow penetrate here. So that's the reason why I went there. I lost a tempo. He went rook takes d4, and there goes my army. So I'm pretty much desperate at this point. In my mind, the game was lost, and I simply tried to defend as best as I could. And so I go knight to e5, blocking off his rook. So I'm really attacking his knight, also threatening the bishop. So I don't know, he probably felt that his knight was a stronger piece. I think that the bishop here wasn't really threatened, because if he simply went, let's say, yeah, I'm not sure, because if he, I don't know, if he went here, for example, and no, that would be a bad move, because if I attack here, the knight obviously is pinned, so he's not going to move, and then he could take, and once, yeah, so anyways, that's probably a bad move, but I guess he did feel that knight was in trouble, and the bishop, and he chose to actually save his knight with knight to d5, giving me the bishop. So knight takes g6, and he went f takes g6, opening the f file for his rook. I'm not sure which was the better move. Perhaps this could have been a possible move as well, because it would take me a lot of time, to attack his, to somehow bring the rook here, and I don't think he would have been in trouble. But I guess he felt that taking with the f pawn was a stronger move, and that kind of leaves the king open on this light squares here, and I was okay with the bishop pair, and I think that if I played correctly and I defended correctly, perhaps the bishops are just as good as the knight as the rooks. So I don't know if that's true, but anyways, I had no choice, right? So um, so now rook to c2. The idea was to prevent him from getting on the second rank here, because that would be bad news for the bishop here, and there would be no way to defend. So that was my idea, and the next move would probably be to bring the bishop here, pinning that knight there to the king. And now he goes rook to f8 check. So I decided to, so I thought about it, so should I go e1 or g1? So if I went e1, I'd be stuck between the two rooks here, and even behind my bishop, and then if he somehow finds a way to deliver check, right, like threatening the bishop here, and if I do something else and he delivers check, that would be checkmate. So I thought that g1 would be a safer place to retreat the king, and he goes knight to b4, attacking the rook and the pawn. So I didn't feel that this was his best move. Perhaps going knight to e3 would have been more aggressive, because here he's putting pressure on the f square here, and perhaps if he later on found a way to retreat the rook here and causing a lot of problems here, that would have been a better move. So anyways, he went knight to b4, attacking the rook and the pawn, and I wasn't really worried about the pawn here, because after my move rook to c3, I decided not to go down here but up here to perhaps swing over here eventually, just a little bit more active, and the rook here is actually defended by the pawn, versus here it's not. So who knows which tactics he can come up with later on. And I wasn't worried for this pawn, because if he takes attacking the rook, I would simply deliver check, forking the king and the knight, and he would lose the knight. Of course, he can always counter check or something like that. Oh, he can't. So he has to move, and then he would lose, or he would have to be down the exchange. So that would have worked out for me. He's still leading with pawns here, pawn majority here. Easy to create a pass pawn, so I would have lost anyways. But anyways, he was better than that, so he went rook to d2. So I guess the knight going here to kick away my rook, the purpose was really to get to the second rank here. So perhaps his other move here wasn't as strong, because well, it would have done the same, right? So if I had gone up, he could still take control, putting pressure on the bishop, and if the bishop would probably I can't really stay on this diagonal, because the pawns, the knight here would have been okay, but then he could double on here, so probably staying on that diagonal would have been a bad thing, and I would probably defend here, block off his rook from coming in here, and I think that would have been a better move for him, because he can always you know, start taking pawns here, and always threatening check down here, and even the idea of finding another way to bring the rooks in. Well, here the knight is under attack, so he would probably need to defend here, which then is a semi-open file for later. But then, of course, the bishop is covering that square. So anyways, what he did was fine. and so he took control of the second rank, and so I wanted to get the bishop out of there, so I went bishop to c4 check, also defending the a pawn here, and he goes king to h8, and so now here there's this threat of back rank mate here, so that was his idea, to perhaps distract me from so if I didn't deliver check there and I went somewhere else, then it would have been checkmate. So I saw that, so I went h4. Now I wasn't sure if I should have gone h3 or h4, but I felt that if I went h4, it would simply give my king 2 squares to run to versus just one. My king would still be stuck here, and with potential, like double attacks on this pawn here, if he somehow found a way to bring the knight in. So I felt that this way the king would have more room, and so he starts to attack my pawns with rook takes b2. It's pretty much over at this point, and so I went rook to e3. I think my only hope here was to perhaps distract the with a double attack here, attacking the rook and the knight here, causing him to perhaps move the rook somewhere, and then there's always this chance of a possible back rank mate here. So that was my last hope. So I seized control of the e file. Also here there's ideas of defending if I needed to. The bishop here supporting here, just to hold the position as best as I could. So I think he saw that he wasn't, he could have taken the pawn here because the rook was defending, but bringing the knight here was really taking it out of the game. So I think it was a good move, retreating it, blocking the bishop, attacking the rook, and I simply went rook to e1. Just maintaining keeping an eye on this position here. I would have liked to go to the 7th rank here, but I think he was smart moving the knight back to defend. So now he feels that there is that chance of a back rank mate here, so he made some room for his king, which was the right thing to do. I don't know, he went h6. I think that perhaps h5 could have also been a possible move, but I guess h6 is more flexible for him, because if he goes h5, he'll never be able to play g5, right? So he went here h6 so that eventually he could push the other pawn. So I think that was his idea, but I don't know if that's true, because if he perhaps had gone here, later on he could relocate the knight somewhere, to defend the square here. So if he somehow relocated the knight to here, and then to here or something like that, to attack the square, well, this would not be a good move because of the rook and the bishop, but it is still possible for him to play this move later on. Anyways, he only went h6, and I decided to put pressure on his pawn there with bishop to d3, and I guess that was an opportunity for him to simply challenge the pawn here, right? So, but if he did that, I'd probably simply move up and try to somehow get this outpost here, really bothering his king here. So perhaps that's the reason why he didn't want that, and he went king to h7. So I think this was his only mistake up to now. And what I did was I pinned that pawn with h5. So that was a big mistake, because now his king is going to lose a tempo going back after I take, or this way. So that was his big mistake, and he he felt some pressure there, and he spent a lot of time thinking about this, and he decided to go rook takes a2, and so now I wasn't sure what to do. I felt that perhaps taking with the pawn would have been the best move, forcing his king back to one of these squares, and the idea here would have been to perhaps put pressure here on this pawn here and somehow find a way to to exert pressure. So let's play it out. So if, let's say, he makes a move here, then move here, I would swing over, and then so he moves here. I would perhaps find a way to put his king to the dark square here, and then with the pin then I could attack, right? So perhaps I could yeah, it's really hard for my bishop to somehow find a way here behind the knight. The knight is totally blocking it. I cannot go here because of the rook. I was thinking of something like this, or here the rook is covering. Here I could have gone here perhaps, if he makes another move here. Obviously this is like really unrealistic, but that's what I was thinking, right? So if he goes here, then I would this is probably checkmate here anyways, but very unrealistic, but that was my idea. But I decided to perhaps just improve my rook's position with e6. I don't know. I don't think there was much I could do at this point. Just putting more pressure here, and this was another way of attacking this pawn. And now I was thinking that if he, the rook here is just a little bit more active than down here, because there's ways to, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to take with the pawn yet. I think it would have been the best move because it's just adding another attacker, right? And the pawn here frees up the bishop to do something else. Anyways, I decided to improve the rook's position, and I don't know what he was thinking here. So he was probably feeling a bit of pressure, and he probably spent half an hour thinking about his next move here. I wasn't really sure what I was threatening here. Yeah, I don't really see what he could have, I could have done to him, right? So you can simply retreat the knight here, and I don't know, after it takes, yeah, actually he would go here, and I probably, I don't know, put pressure here, so that the pawn here is really bothering his king, and the idea was perhaps if he makes a silly move, then I would put pressure here. He can just like force an exchange or something like that. So I don't know. There was really nothing I could do to him, and I don't know what he was afraid of. But he went. Rook to a1 check, and I went king to h2, and same thing. I don't know what invisible threat he was seeing here, so he went rook to f1, supporting his other rook and perhaps defending his position here. But then right after this move, he saw that my bishop could have exchanged, and then he would simply beat down the exchange. So I don't think he's still okay, and there's like absolutely no threats here. Like I could check, and so what, right? The light squared bishop is gone. Is there a checkmate threat? No. So I mean, he was absolutely fine, and he had like three connected pass pawns here. There was nothing I could do. So actually, that move that he played was a good move. Um, and I don't think I would have taken with my bishop. I would probably, I don't know, take here, check. Um, I think here would not be a good move. He would probably go here because he probably doesn't want to be pinned here. And there's like nothing I can do. Like the knight is defending, I don't know, the knight is blocking the light squared bishop. There's absolutely nothing that I can do to him. You know, then what, right? He could just go back and defend if he wants, try to generate like some exchanges or something, and I'm like totally lost here. So that was an excellent move. So after he played that move, he freaked out and he's like, "Oh no, I blundered, Do you want to draw?" And then I'm like, "Okay, let me think about it." So I thought about it a bit, and I'm like, "I have nothing." So I'm like, "Okay, I take the draw," and that was it. And so this is kind of a funny draw, but the reason why he panicked and he offered a draw here is because he's only 9 years old. So this is very interesting for me, and now I'm sure everybody's laughing here, because I guess at that age you're very emotional, right? So instead of simply thinking, you know, I blundered, so what? If he takes, what's the worst case scenario, right? He would take, and then he's still fine, and you know, there's nothing I can do to stop him from getting three queens here. And he would have won anyways. And just keep your composure. You know, what's the worst case, right? Like what? I go here, and then so what? You can be down another exchange. I guess that's his fear. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is a real threat. I don't know. So yeah, worst case. Start pushing pawns and let's see what happens. So let's say he starts pushing here, then I would deliver check. Yeah, that's what he was afraid of, I suppose. So yeah, but you could defend here and I wouldn't be able to deliver check. Now I would simply improve my position perhaps and find another way to deliver check, right? And then what can he do? So yeah, I don't know, I guess he felt some pressure, I felt some pressure, and we decided to draw. I'm not gonna analyze this to death because to me, I think I'm losing here. So, anyways, that's what happened, and I'm really impressed with this kid. He's only 9. I think he has a lot of potential, and it just makes me want to push my son a little bit harder as well. He's 6, and I think if at the age of 9 he has the potential to play this way, who knows what, you know, kids these days, they're getting, you know, strong chess players are getting younger and younger, and I think Anon said if by the age of 13 you're not a grandmaster, then forget about it. So you know, that's the proof that these kids are just as good as anybody. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something from this, and I'll see you guys next time.